Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining. This is the live that's going to be in English. For the last week, I've done a lot of Spanish, different types of videos, but they're all related to this topic: is the Cuba of the past and the Cuba of now. We're going to discuss how great the economy, social, and well-being of people in Cuba was in the 1930s, for example, compared to now after dictatorships came through. The longest one lasting 61 years and still currently going on, and what Americans can learn, what has been the American relationship and the American interaction with the nation of Cuba, and how, in some ways, in current times, we can learn to never implement some of those social practices that were created under Fidel. And we're also going to talk about the Batista dictatorship and how the Americans backed up a dictator there, which didn't really help. But in the 1930s, before all that happened, Cuba has had an amazing, prosperous, state of being. There was a lot of economic exporting, sugar, a lot of agriculture, rice, and now today, Cuba has pretty much import more than 80% of their consume of what people consume. The differences are abysmal, and as people join in, I'm going to play this little video so you can kind of get a glimpse at the history of the 1930s, how good things were, the architecture, the social life. People were going, the consumers were going to stores and a bunch of different places where they could do many types of economic practices and trades. And let's start with the video. I hope you can hear it. Tell me if you can hear it. Broad avenue and the activity of a great city. The heart of the city is the wide thoroughfare called the Prado, where the magnificent Capitol stands. The superb building was completed in 1929 at a cost of $20 million. It houses the Congress of the youngest republic in the New World. The Cubans have laid out their new capital city along spacious lines and embellished it with many fine parks and splendid buildings. Standing at the head of Mission Square is one of the most elaborate of the public buildings, the Palace of the President. The National Theater is the most ornate in the city. The White Asturiano is one of Havana's largest clubs. The university is in modern style. Havana is spreading rapidly, and tall buildings begin to spring up everywhere. But the dome of the Capitol stands out far above them all, dominating the old and the new city. So far, what we have seen in that, heard in that video, remember my channel is going to be very different than any other channel, is that the architecture and the lifestyle in Havana with modern architecture and with modern living. Havana was a pearl of of quality buildings, of new and innovative practices of building, and everything was going smooth. This is in 1930s going into the 1940s. So now we're going to go into a little more detail, and it's going to briefly touch on a historic moment where the Americans and the Cuban people and the Cuban governments at the time and the American governments were in sync, and they were all in the same. The Americans kind of helped Cuba get rid of Spain in 1902 after the Cubans were able to fight and gain freedom in the 1902 and win the revolution or Revolutionary War. It was a civil war which they won under Jose Marti, one of the founding fathers of the liberty of Cuba at the time, and also under Marcel Gomez, which was the leader. He was the more of the military guy. So now we're going to talk about other parts of Havana and then of the American link. There's a monument in Havana currently that honors the sailors, the Navy, the American Navy, who helped the Cubans get rid of the Spanish in 1902. So we'll continue with that. Let's see.
The most renowned avenue of Havana is the Malecon, a curving driveway bordering the sea, similar to the famed boulevard along the French Riviera.
Havana was internationally known for the Malecon. So, international comparison.
The tree-shaded center of the province is a favorite restaurant of the city and possesses one of the most expensive pavements in the world. During the day, few persons wander underneath the trees, but in the evening or holiday afternoon, it is crowded with promenaders.
Super amazing.
The principal business streets of Havana are in the old part of the city.
Look what happens in business at the time.
Congested downtown there is the greatest of any university. For Havana is the largest city of the Caribbean.
It was the largest city of the Caribbean at the time and the capital of the economic trades at the time in Latin America. Now, before we talk about how Havana was in structure, which was similar to other cities in Cuba like Santiago and Matanzas and Cienfuegos, the biggest thing at this point is that this was right at this point is when things kind of start going downhill in Cuba, and it was because in 1925 the Socialist Party decided to do a to do social reforms and actually created the Communist Party within Cuba. At this point, the Communist Party did not exist, but under the ban of socialism and social reforms, it kind of crept in, and they create the creation of the Communist Party after 1925 was created and branched off the Socialist Party. So it's a good little point. And then after that, so what you see now in Havana, from there on, it starts crumbling. And today, Havana looks and Cuba looks like it was a participant of World War II when it really wasn't, and everything is crumbling down. Buildings fall every month. We get news from Havana and from other parts of the country of old structures falling and just they never being able to rehab them, and which is a part of what happens under a economy that is completely socialist, and they own more than 90% of production. They own more than 90% of properties. Cubans, when they leave the country, if they leave in a form that is considered trading the country, they get their property is taken. They never get their property back, like which is what happened in 1960s with Americans owned properties and businesses. They were just taken and never paid for again, and that's why the embargo kind of came into effect. Or the main reason why the embargoes today is in place. And after that, we're still in 1930. So when people, just to finish my thought, when people leave the country and they can't are not able to pass it on to somebody else because the government or the dictatorship doesn't let them, then what happens is that the government, somebody selected by the government, it could be somebody from normal civilian, or it could if you have a nice property and nice stuff, it's typically an official from the Communist Party, takes your stuff. They take anything you own, anything that's still under your name, and it's theirs. So that's kind of how it works. And then from there on is how things started. So we go looking at the fantasy and the dream of what was Havana and what it kind of looked like. And then we're going to go into today's reality.
So that only for a few hours in the middle of the day could the tropical sun and heat penetrate them. Even the sidewalks are now that on some of them hardly pass. It is really hot in the sun in Havana, and along the wider streets of the shopping district, the sidewalks are under arcades. Many of the shops in the city have open fronts, for the climate of Nevada is like continual summer. Groceries are neatly arranged behind counters opening directly on the sidewalk.
Okay. This is a quick stop. All right, so I'm stopping the video, and the reason I'm stopping the video, and I guess I'm going to put this in my channel and try to promote it. The effort of this is to kind of tell Americans and tell anyone in the English language that doesn't know about the Cuban history and about Cuban struggle and why things are the way they are today. They can hear it from a Cuban perspective, and they can kind of get synthesized with it or sympathetic to the cause of liberating Cuba and for it to be free. I really, really thank a few of my friends that are also YouTubers. They're amazing YouTubers, and we're gonna figure out a way where when we can put this message in English when we do lives in Spanish all the time. We're trying to wake up the Cuban people to kind of know their rights and to know that they should demand freedom and to know that they should not live this way. And I want to stop here because we saw an image of people in the 1930s being able to go to malls, to go to stores, and have access to a lot of commerce. Today, none of that exists. None of that is possible. There's long lines for any common household product that you can think of, whether it is oil, sugar, even sugar, who was the Cuba is known for producing. There's sometimes you can't find it within the country. Any type of toiletries, any type of household, anything, clothes. Clothes typically comes from Central America or South American countries. When Cubans are able to, in some way, shape, or form, get out and have a visa to go somewhere, it's really hard to get out of Cuba. So those who are able to do that are privileged. They're able to go and buy a lot of stuff like clothes and things that the island does not produce, because which it used to produce. I just proved to you that in the 1930s, this was produced all the time. And this was the commerce in Cuba was again top of the crop of Latin America. It was the number one ranked economy of Latin America around this time that I'm showing you the video at, or that you listen to the video, because I don't even know if you're seeing it. So when I edit this video and I upload it to my channel, I want you to know that the object of this is so you know that at this time Cuba was very similar to the U.S. Our economic system and we had a constitution that came up in 1940. It was a very progressive but very open market constitution, and allowed for Cuba to be prosperous. Cuba had per person in the world the most amount of colored TVs. I mean, not colored, of TVs, not colored, white and black TVs, which was the TVs at the time. They had the most amount of pianos per household in the world. It was known as the mecca for arts, for entertainment in Latin America. So the films were made from the Latin American, media, and also it was the center for many countries in Latin America to meet for conventions or for meetings of Las Americas. So at this point, everything was good. After that, there's videos and pictures I will show you later, because I want to make this issue present, so you know what happens when social reforms take over and everything becomes government owned and everything becomes ownership of people that it's like when you own something, the sense of property makes you take care of it, makes you invest in it, makes you take share it with those who are going to cherish it. But when you put things in hands of the government, especially 90% of everything you make, 90% of everything you own, 90% of your salary, 90% of everything, what happens is that you're not equal. There's actually a lot of inequality. And I know you've heard me talk about that maybe, but it's really the truth. At the end, only the people in the Communist Party and only the people within the structure of the dictatorship and the regime are the ones living a great life, are the ones that get to travel throughout the world, are the ones that get to live in the old mansion that somebody else built with a lot of sweat and tears. And now the rest of the people are living in the crumbling infrastructure that they're not able to repair because there's no products to do so. It's not lack of will. It's not lack of interest. It's not lack of work mentality. It's really lack of productivity because of the system they're in. People survive in Cuba by stealing from wherever they work at, and that's because that's the only way to get anything. If you make pizzas, you don't. There's no market out where you can buy cheese or you can buy, because everything is government owned. So the only way you do it is by bribing or corrupting somebody to buy those products, and then your pizza that you're selling in your own little um, business that can be closed at any time because the government gets to determine that system gets to determine that. Then what happens is that you're doing it illegally. So anytime they come in, you're saying they can catch you so easily because anything you buy, you have to buy illegally in the black market. And that's part of why this great picture I showed you of Cuba and of how life was in the 1930s, there was corruption, there was problems. Don't get me wrong, there was some poverty, but compared to the rest of the world, Cuba was one of the top countries with less poverty. It's just one of those misunderstood and misinformed facts that's been thrown out there that Cuba, the Fidel saved a lot of people from poverty. Not true. It is true that, and even people who didn't know how to write and read, there was a one of the reforms that the dictatorship created was to make sure that everybody learned how to read and write. But there was only like at the time in the 1959 when Fidel took over, there was only I think 27% of the population, which at the time, I know it sounds crazy now, but at the time, they didn't know how to read and write. At the time, compared to Latin America, Cuba was way above the rest. And that was, I mean, obviously, now today we have people who know how to write and read, but people who are not informed because there's no very, very, very little access to the internet, very limited and very censored. So to really, there's really no way for the Cuban people to so that for to use their reading and writing skills. There's no English is taught at a private basis. They don't teach you English in schools. They teach you Russian from the Soviet Union days, and I'm guessing that today they might start teaching in Chinese. Who knows? But when English, we know that's the world language and it's the one that every country, when you're trying to learn a language, if you're interested in that, you try to go for and you try to learn. So that's kind of like the basis of the truth. In the 1930s, I wanted to bring the beginning of the crash, I guess I want to say. So in the U.S., I know a little earlier, there was a stock market crash. Well, in Cuba, there was a social reform crash that made everything depleted. It depleted everything, not just the economy. A stock market crash, crashes the economy. But a communist party that came from a socialist reform movement in 1925. Well, that created a vacuum for the dictatorship to maintain power for 61 years. The Batista, but dictatorship from 1950 to 1959 was 1952 to 1959 was bad. There was corruption, there was abuse, but at least economically there was a way to move up. And Batista got thrown out of there. I would say because a lot of people were able to finance the revolutionary movement for the Communist Party to win. Fidel was not communist at that time, but that's what happened as a result of the social reforms they made. So again, if you're interested in all, I want to put some options here. We're gonna find subtitles for some of our YouTubers. I want to put some of the comments. Usually my channel's in Spanish, so that I wanted to try it in English. Thank you so much to El Canal de las Emociones. I love your channel, and it's the very best archive of memories of the Cuban struggle and how life has changed for Cubans from the beginning of the crash, like I like to call it, to now. In 61 years, how things were at least very really good living conditions. There was a lot of economic um, motivation and a lot of potential and a lot of equality. And now, technically, everybody's miserable except those who are in power. There's no rights. So the press was the main promoter of. The press was the main promoter of. Thank you to Oh, that's me, Jose Villas. Oops, I'll take that out. Um, absolutely. Hello, how you doing, Manny? Thank you so much for joining. That's awesome. Um, the point is, I put the link up there in case at some point anybody wants to join, but that's not the point of this. I'm going to edit this video so you guys kind of know what I've been doing throughout the 2 weeks when I'm off from work and all that kind of stuff. Y'all ask me, why are you only doing videos in Spanish? Why are you always doing videos in Spanish? I'm like, well, this is why, because we need to wake up the Cuban people so they can fight for their freedom. So hopefully at some point, I'm able to wake up the I'm able to wake up everyone to know that we want to make changes in America to be better off, but we never want to make the mistakes that others have made, and the Cuban people are one of them. So anyway, I hope that you guys understand kind of like where I'm coming from with this. It's not to criticize any a specific policy or anything like that. It's more to kind of give a perspective as a Cuban American of what happened to Cuba and how we went down this hill where now Cuba is obsolete in anything with dealing with well-being. Cubans with this with who are blind, for example, don't have any of the stuff I have, opportunities. I mean, there's no access to any of the things I have access. They don't even have internet. Not just blind people, but anyone in Cuba. Very, very few. I was, very small percentage. I don't want to guess. Very small percentage of the population has access to internet, has access to what we know as the new world. And they're doctrine. They're indoctrinated because of it, and it's because of what happened during this time. And a lot of what I see happening during that time, not a lot, but a few things I see similarities here in America, and that's why I wanted to kind of share this because it's important to view history and learn from others. And now we thank the American people for hosting us and having us being giving us the opportunity of freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's another reason I'm doing this type of thing, and I want to eventually do videos in English to promote this story. This was the intro, the preamble for other videos. Like I said, my channel is going to be very diverse. We're going to talk about a lot of issues, but many people wanted to know, or some folks were telling me, "Hey, you're not doing anything in English, and that's why I don't subscribe to your channel." One, I'm working to get subtitles in English so you can follow the ones I do in Spanish, and vice versa. When I do something in English, Spanish people can see the ones I'm doing in can read in Spanish while I'm doing the live or the video in English. So there's a lot of exciting stuff I have planned, but this is the basis of what I've been doing the last 1 or 2 weeks. Just wanted to share that. If any of you wanna put any comment up, let's see. I have thank you so much to all those who are commenting. I really appreciate all the comments. All of you are amazing. And I really appreciate all the kind words and all the kind support. The point is that I wanna thank, well, that's Manny again. I wanted to thank Punta Maisa who joined the channel. Let's see, we're here I think. Punta Maisa, Jose no entiendo. Okay, she's saying, well, let me say something in Spanish real quick. Vas a entender muy pronto porque estoy buscando la manera de hacerlo bilingüe, pero el canal de hoy, la directa de hoy es en español. Pero tranquila que yo los sábados y otro día a la semana que voy a encontrar, todo lo voy a hacer en español. Solo que hoy quería intentar en inglés para que la gente viera. So anyhow, I was just telling Maisa Punti that she says she doesn't understand. And that's the point. I want to do one in English, one live in English a week, and maybe two in Spanish. My goal right now is to promote freedom in Cuba and to tell people the truth about America, because there's many people that have misperceptions and fallacies and many wrong perceptions of our country. And we want to make sure that when people know the truth, the bad, the good, the ugly, and the best, so that everybody's clear and everybody knows what's going on. Anyhow, just thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your Sunday night. Sundays at 8 or 7:30, or if not, I'll change it to a different day. We're going to do lives in English. I do lives in Spanish on Saturdays at 3 p.m. But Sundays at night, we're going to do some lives. I know it's football, so I know you Americans, my friends, I know y'all love tonight and you don't want to mess with the live, but we're gonna do them soon. And maybe I pick a different day for them. But thank you so much. I want to tell you what I've been talking about lately in Spanish. What my videos mainly focused, about the theme of this that I shared with you today. I hope you were able to hear the video behind me. And if that's all you, that's pretty much what we're gonna do today. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao. Live life to the fullest. Don't miss any day. Just do your best to enjoy yourself and have a very, very, very awesome night. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you joining.